The Russian conflict is getting out of control. The mysterious underground arsenal in Ukraine has emerged, reminiscent of the Sino-US trade war. The recent Russian-Ukrainian conflict, once again in the global spotlight. According to a report by Global King on September 8th, this protracted conflict, it may be entering a new phase. The president of Ukraine, Zelensky's recent actions, it also seems to confirm this judgment. During a visit to Italy, Zelensky announced Ukraine is building an underground arsenal. It aims to produce weapons. Possible delays for Western troops have been dealt with. He also emphasizes that Ukraine has developed a variety of domestic products, new weapons. This is undoubtedly an inherently complex situation. Added new variables. Order the driver. Choose to open the construction of the underground arsenal at this time, apparently sending multiple signals. This shows that Ukraine has realized total dependence on external aid is not a sustainable solution. Although the soldiers of Western countries were in the early stages of the conflict, played an important role, but over time, the magnitude and speed of aid can fluctuate, even reduce. In order to ensure its continued combat capability, Ukraine must establish an independent military-industrial system. The construction of an underground arsenal, it is an important step towards this goal. The existence of underground arsenals, it also increases Ukraine's war potential and strategic depth. Move weapons production underground. It can effectively reduce the risk of being attacked by the Russian army, ensuring the stability of the arms supply, enhancing Ukraine's sustainable combat capabilities. In addition to the construction of underground arsenals, Zelensky also emphasized the results of the development of new weapons made in Ukraine. One of the most interesting, Palanesia spray-painted drones and Thunder. Two ballistic missiles. Pionesia drones are like named after Ukrainian traditional bread. Zelensky hopes this drone can be like bread, enable mass production, become a weapon in the hands of the Ukrainian army. This drone is said to be fast, highly mobile, possessing certain attack capabilities. It can be regarded as a low-cost cruise missile, perform reconnaissance on the battlefield, surveillance strikes, and so on. And the Thunder II missile. It is a more powerful hardware system. The missile features a single-stage, solid fuel design. It's about 7 meters long. It weighs 3 to 4 tons and can carry a 500 kilograms warhead. Range over 500 kilometers. Precision strike capability up to 30 meters. From the perspective of performance metrics, Thunder II and Russia's Iskan, the Del missile is rather similar. It is not ruled out that there is a background of technical cooperation between the two parties. The first glimpse of new weapons made in Ukraine mark its defense industry is gradually moving away from external dependency, begin to embark on the path of independent development. This will enhance Ukraine's military capabilities, enhance its leverage at the negotiating table. None of them are significant. However, the actual performance of these new weapons and operational effectiveness to be tested in practice. In addition, can Ukraine achieve large-scale use of these weapons? Production will also be decided. Can it fight? Key factors at play on the field. The intensity of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. It shows no sign of abating. Instead, it is showing an increasing trend. This conflict, it may be sliding towards a more dangerous stage. The localization of weapons in Ukraine and underground arsenal construction, it is undoubtedly an important factor driving the escalation of the situation. Behind these actions, it also seems to hide the shadow of Western countries, makes an already complex conflict situation more confusing. Ukraine actively promotes the localization of weapons. Its core goal is to get rid of the Western military. Surprise of aid, building autonomous weapons capacity. For example, Ukraine starts experimenting with domestic Thunder II ballistic missiles, alternative to Western-supplied Storm Shadow cruise missiles. Behind this transformation, There are practical considerations. There are also political intentions. On one hand, the military of the West is not unconditional and unlimited. Ukraine needs midsection for possible original main body. Get ready. On the other hand, by using domestic weapons, Ukraine can decide the scale of war more autonomously and direction to reduce dependence on Western countries and get a bigger voice over the table. However, the process of localizing weapons in Ukraine is not smooth sailing. Its own military-industrial system received severe damage during the conflict. Technology and capacity are limited. In this case, Ukraine's domestic weapons, to what extent can achieve self-sufficiency, still a question. In fact, some analysts have pointed out that Western countries may be secretly supporting arms production in Ukraine, even directly involved. For example, parts and technologies from some Western countries, possibly through secret channels, flow into Ukraine, helping them produce weapons and equipment. This approach is similar to that during the Sino-US trade war. Chinese goods are OEM through Mexico, enter the US market to avoid tariffs and trade violations. Military expert Li Wensheng and Bitter Winter, also the localization of weapons in Ukraine and underground arsenal construction, expressed a cautious opinion. They believe that Ukraine's current military strength is difficult to support mass weapons production. The size and capacity of underground arsenals, there is also a lot of uncertainty. It is not ruled out that Western countries are secretly providing technology, financial and personnel support, helping Ukraine build and operate these underground facilities. If so, then Ukraine's domestic weapons, very likely just Western weapons in the guise of domestic production. The real traitor behind it, it's still the West. This practice of covert knowledge, it reflects the Western countries' involvement in the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, took a kind of both wanted access, strategies that don't want to take direct responsibility, expanding the war by supporting Ukraine. The West can weaken Russia's power, but at the same time, avoiding direct military confrontation with Russia. However, this strategy also carries significant risks. Once Ukraine, the use of domestic weapons against the Russian mainland, launch a massive attack, it is likely to break Putin's tolerance line, lead to further escalation of conflict, and even more war. Ukraine's domestic weapons and underground arsenal construction. Is Russia an important factor in the Ukrainian conflict moving to the brink of danger? The role of Western countries in this regard, and play a role. It deserves a lot of attention. This strategy of indirect intervention, this could exacerbate the complexity of the conflict, cause the situation to get out of control. Ultimately, the entire region and the world is plunged into a greater crisis. Therefore, the international community needs to remain highly vigilant, urge all parties to exercise restraint, resolve disputes through dialogue and negotiation, avoid further escalation of the conflict, maintaining regional peace and stability.